Fuck, I forgot to eat my cookies. Well, before officially starting, let's do this. Hello. You haven't really started, so give me a second. 4 seconds. 3. Fuck. Hello, everybody. Hello. Oh. Where? Okay, there it is. Once again streaming. We are once again pondering stuff. And we are all together reunited once again. Hello Vita. Hello not Geyser. Oh yeah, give me a second. I will do the vops for you. Hello Runspoon. I don't know if Saxter is here or he has a bot or something like that, because I am pretty sure the moment I posted the tweet on Twitter, it was instantly retweeted, so I would guess he has more like a bot or something like that than really being he himself who does that. So in any case, in the probability of he being here, hello Saxter, and now let me vanish. What the fuck is vanish? I know what you try to do with drone, but what the fuck is vanish? And also, what do you mean, Vita, that you're angry? You're hungry? No, Vita, no, not so sad. Stop, no. Yeah, it happens. It's all I can say. It happens. And what was it? Like 60% nowadays or something like that? Something really interesting to see. 60% rate of fathers leaving their children in these last generations. Oh, no, yeah, but I mean, what I am saying is real. that is the funny part, that it is real. Maybe you were lucky enough to not get abandoned by your father, but there is some people who really there is a 60% people who really got abandoned by their father figures. So yeah, lovely to see that. And well, aside from that, it is real. Yes, it is too real. It is horribly real, I would say. Or yeah, it is bad to the extent that those who were not abandoned by their fathers are more lucky than those who were not. No, the opposite. Those who were not were more lucky than those who were. Nowadays, when in the 80s and in times like that, it was the complete opposite. You had to be really unlucky, so to speak, to be abandoned. Nowadays, you need to be lucky to not be abandoned. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the world is like that. We have too many Tyler Durdens running around. Why? What the confusion? Bit. What's wrong with your mind? Anyways, oh yeah, it is like that. But when I was thinking about it, I think there has been a lot of staples in nowadays society that make people be like that, so to speak. We have a lot of people telling others, or not people, we have a lot of men who told the younger generations that it was okay to abandon or to not even try to have a family. You had the possibility of fucking whoever you wanted. So you didn't have to even regard the kid that was born from the woman that you fucked as yours, so to speak. Mm, so yeah, I will guess it is like that. What do you want? I'm wondering where I want to do some shit chat. You fucking shithead. Okay, okay. Thank you. I will go back to my ordeal then. Also, wait. Guys, are you already in the stream? What the fuck? Oh, hello. Hello, Shen. Hello, Shen Machine. Shen Machine. Shen Machine. Machine Shen. Yeah. Shen Machine. And Crank, what? Who? Crank, Crank, what? Crank. Hello, Crank. I, you already talked here in the chat at some point. I already forgot what you said, so hello. To me, it is literally the first time that I see you, but hello, Crank. What? Anyways, okay, stream elements. Anyways, continuing with the things. Anybody has? Oh yeah. Wait. Now that we're starting, I need to make this or to ask this before continuing. Anybody has a question that they want to see? I should have the link here because basically, for those who missed what happened. This was a random event, and this basically means that I made a list of, as I said there on the tweet itself, like 70 different topics to talk about. So it is only one page. I have a book with like at least 50 pages to fill. So if somebody has a topic that they want to hear, you might as well say it. Obviously, if you try to do haha funny, you should talk about the Holocaust. No, 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 no. But if you have a real suggestion, we might try to do it. Yes. I said the H word and not como oh no. I won't say it fully. But anyways, having said that, I am already free from the responsibility of having to say that after. So yeah, now we can really start with the pondering. Let me make this tinier. I have been checking the stream quality. Did we have some frame drops? Did we have not? Okay, we haven't had any. This is incredible. This is quality content. Manually, let me manually unpin. There it is. Now let me here 10 minutes, well, 11 minutes mark. End of chitchat. Chicharrón. No, there it is. End of chitchat. Basically, now we shall continue and we shall really start with the list. I already sent it to chat, and I also sent it to at least 2 of the posts that I made somewhere. I am not completely sure where did I post the list and where did I not, so I don't know. Oh my god, hello Vinja! Meanwhile, we shall find whatever is it that we have to talk about today. The first topic over here. Talk about first topic, not having a guide and its consequences. Oh yeah. Well, as always, chilling billing time. We take it easy and we really start now. Uh, Basically, I found I have been studying a lot the idea that it is kind of interesting to have not a guide in the sense of someone who's guiding you, but rather a guide in the sense of having stuff that really tells you how you should act, so to speak, how you should try to go about your life, so to speak. And the problem with trying to talk about guys is that most of the time you cannot avoid talking about guides without delving into the other side of the topic, that is the spiritual side of, yeah, spiritual kind of offered guides, so to speak. Because even if they themselves are not considered or do not regard them as guides, at the end of the day, every kind of biblical book, religious manuscript, and ideological a lot of times, also texts in general, are more or less guides on different topics. And the problem with that is that you will always have to accept that at some point or another you will probably find, in some sense or in other, at the very least, a very diffused part of fate, so to speak. Because at least, yeah, I will say it like this: at least on nowadays world, it is kind of normal to say that we cannot separate ourselves from the desire of having a higher fate, or more rather, properly said, it is to speak that we still have not found something so completely real and substantial that we do not need to rely on fate. Because, and this is also not a problem but rather a common misconception, that fate can only be related to religion. We are not referring to fate only in the religious sense. You can, for example, you can and you should always try to have faith on whatever it is you are doing. Why? Because if you do not have faith, a lot of times, unless you are somehow one of those few people who really escapes the norm, so to speak, you will not put your 100% on whatever it is you are trying to do. And as I said before, it might not even come from a religious mind. You might not even have a faith. You might even consider yourself an atheist. Um, Hello, Olga. In that sense, it really means uh, a lot to understand why we have that in one hand, basically. Because if you already have the basic conceptions, and if you basically can, so to speak, comprehend why is it important, you might also start foreseeing, in a sense, how it might affect you to not really have a guide in your life. Because let's put it this way: if you never really try to know how to guide yourself, and at the very least try to have a basic comprehension about anything that you are trying to, yeah, it literally is there to waste points, nothing else. Thank you. But as I was saying, you literally, if you literally do not find any kind of thing to guide yourself through the adventure that can be considered life, you will mostly end up in that kind of stumbling lifestyle, so to speak. Things will happen to you, and yeah, not only they will happen to you, but you will only be able to notice what is happening to you rather than to really acting on what you really want. And personally, I find it in a sense weird let me make this intersection here, because the the average person a lot of times finds itself to be someone guideless, so to speak, not rather to be trying anything that can be really considered an important or really driven by their own desires. Rather, the average person a lot of times simply does what they they were told from since they were little. They do what they might know will work the best on any single case, or not any single, rather on every single case, and they always focus themselves on trying to achieve those things who a lot of times are proven, so to speak, to end up giving um, specific results instead of really trying anything else, or instead of going out of the not predilected but rather I will say misconceptualized accepted way, because it isn't that they are completely accepted. At the end of the day, even nowadays, if we consider an office job important, a lot of times we also know that a lot of office jobs are not important by themselves. We might not even know how much importance it has to an office job to do. In the case here of Argentina, I think we had on the last census like 30% of the job is office job that could be replaced by a machine. And it is only a census made by professionals. We don't really know how much more it could be changed if we were to really try, and if we were to really examine how those misconceptualized as accepted structures exist. And if you end up, as I have said before, if you end up not finding a real objective for yourself, but rather letting others dictate what you really want, you will never have an easy time, so to speak. And yeah, there is also another problem with that, and that is the idea that even if you find a guide, you might not even find a guide for yourself, but rather find a guide for life that is trying to tell you what you need to do. And in a sense, that ends up connecting with what we have been talking here of a concept so basic and an idea so simple that works for every single human, when in reality, uh, not delving so much because it is a completely different idea, every single person's life reach a certain point where they become so completely different one from the other that even if there are similarities, they are completely unique. It ends up reaching that point for every single human. So it is really impossible to give or to have a completely precise guide for everybody. If I wouldn't say it in a negative way, but if what they are trying to sell you is completely ambivalent guide, it might not be the best. It is important to accept that what you are telling others might not be the most useful thing. So yeah, that. Water, and I already ran out of water. Incredible. Let me. Okay, timestamp. Okay, there it is. Next topic. We need to. Sorry, we need to move on, and now we're changing kind of completely direction and going to comprehending the chaos. That is the title of the next idea. And yeah, I will try to do this, and if I have, as always, no fucking response, I will do whatever I want. But I will try to connect that concept with what I have done before. At the end of the day, they can be related, in some senses. So, do we want that, or do I end up doing whatever I want? Let me. I guess there are like 5 seconds of delay, so let me. Meanwhile, yeah, I might go later on to search for some water. I want my water. I can't have no water on stream. Okay. Thank you, Lurker, for lurking and nothing else. Let me then do whatever I want. Thank you. How much do I love my sleepers? As I was saying, then okay, we are going to visit from the completely original side of the idea. Okay. Comprehending the chaos refers to the concept that basically every single thing is embedded in chaos, at least on nowadays society, and it is completely normal to see that whatever you are trying to do in itself is or was formed by some kind of chaos, or at the very least, we will try to say something that tries to deorganize that chaos or tries to repel that chaos from itself, so to speak. How? Yeah, the real problem is finding completely accurate examples, but one of the most precise things is, yeah, okay, whatever you're trying to do, for example, be it a drawing, or be it a game of chess, be it even a video game, a lot of times gives you the possibility, or leaves to you a simpler path to kind of guide yourself around, so to speak. Not in the sense as we have talked before, something that really tells you how you should do things, but rather in a incarcerates what you should try to do, so to speak. So in this case, we're speaking about if you're, for example, trying to start a drawing, you might find yourself not really knowing where to start, or not really not yourself, but knowing that anybody could really start from any single part of the drawing. It isn't obligatory to start, so to speak, from the legs. It isn't necessary to start with black, with white, with colors. It isn't necessary to really do anything in specific. The only important part or the only consistent part might be, for example, to understand that at the very least you need to start working on things, yes. But even if you need to start on things, it isn't clear, or it rests in the chaos itself for you to find and for you to understand how we are going to act in those senses, because as we have kind of tried to establish here, everything, be it even a minimal part, has chaos. Yeah, I am trying to think, and I don't think there is anything that really avoids having chaos in and on, in and of, in and on itself, so to speak. The simplest part will be completely automated processes, but even if it is like that, those things, in a sense, are not something that you will, for example, work on, so to speak. But anyways, I got lost for a second there. Going back to the topic itself, the idea is that one has to visualize and has to accept that everything is chaotic. Why? The objective of accepting that part of the reality, so to speak, is to be able to integrate that into your pieces of knowledge, so to speak. Why? Because when you accept, let's say it this way, when you accept, for example, that if you're trying to stream, there is always a chaotical possibility of everything completely out of nowhere um, going sideways, your internet out of nowhere, cutting off your power, for example. Even if you live on New York City, one of the cities with one of the best power grids on the whole planet, your power might out of nowhere get cut off. Even if those situations exist in a sense of security, there is always a possibility of chaos. And there is always also the other side of the coin, so to speak. You shouldn't. We're speaking about the chaotical probable things. It isn't, for example, that you need to think about out of nowhere a meteor crashing down your house and I don't know destroying the tree that you have ragned to your your home or something like that. It isn't like that. It is more like acknowledging those parts of the chaos that are on itself and that exist out of completely nowhere that might affect whatever you are trying to do. Because if you learn to integrate and to let those things be, so to speak, you find that most of the time you were not worrying, but rather really trying to rely too much on the repetition and on the things that cannot be changed, when in reality, as we have tried to say here, almost every single part of life contains chaos in an avoidable way, in an unavoidable way, sorry. So yeah, if you have that possibility, and if you integrate, as I have been saying here, if you integrate that skill into your daily knowledge, you might as well have, in this case, an easier going through your life. I wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. Just in case, let me. What the fuck was that? Okay. I don't know what was that. Just in case, let me give some examples. The things. Okay. If you were, for example, to go out and have a dinner with one of your friends, one of your your mutual, your important one, with whoever it is that you went out and you decided to have a dinner with, there is always the possibility of out of nowhere receiving a call and having to go back to your house because something happened. And if you, so to speak, do not know that it might happen, not that it will happen, but rather that it might happen, at least personally I don't think you will be able to not get so angry about the idea or about the event of it really happening. Yeah, on the other hand, you also shouldn't overwork yourself in the sense of saying, yeah, you know what, if this is so possible to happen and slash or this will really exist into the possibilities of being an occurrence into my day-to-day life, you should try not to overthink things, because in a sense it isn't that this is a completely different part of the idea. But there is a theory that says whatever we think we materialize. I do not mean it in that sense, but rather you create a disposition in yourself to start kind of predicting the future, so to speak, or trying to predict as much as you can about certain topics and certain events that will end up happening. Because even if there is chaos, there are always patterns to follow and patterns to understand that end up falling in our day-to-day life. So yeah, you cannot really avoid those, so to speak. You might find ways to try and circumvent the patterns, or in the other hand, try and not be so in the hands of chaos. But you cannot really avoid both of the sides, so to speak. Well, yeah, I think that was more the most important part, so to speak, because it was more than anything else an introduction to what chaos means, or what is the potato definition of chaos rather than anything else. So yeah, timestamp. Let me do this. Oh my god, what a lovely emote. I don't know who gave that emote to my chat, but I really love it. Do you feel the weight of my hand on your cock? Does it feel good? What a great emote, man. What an incredible emote. Anyways, hello Bunku. I was on the fourth topic, gaming time. Oh, well, interesting. Well, I will guess. Yeah, if, as always, just in case, if there is no question for me to answer, if there is nothing else for me to talk about, we shall move on. Next idea, gaining time by spending it on other things. I am not sleepy. I don't know why the fuck I am bostezando, no me acuerdo. I don't remember the word in English. I might be sleepy. Fuck, no. I am not. Okay. Gaining time by spending it on other things. In this case, we are referring to. I am pretty sure it is in a sense, a very old concept. You have the possibility of finding relations and correlations more commonly called between what you are trying to do and what you might try to do, or what you might be able to do in other areas of your life. For example, and this one I know we kind of already talk about, so it won't be so hard to go over. If you are trying to study, in the case of philosophy, if you are trying to study the older masters, so to speak, all the older philosophers, masters, if you are trying to study the older philosophers, you might approach not directly those who were doing philosophy by themselves, because you might find that sometimes, even if you think you have it in you, you will really not be so able to understand what some really complex orators at the time were trying to say or were trying to convey with such convoluted paragraphs that they ended up writing, so to speak. So you might need to step back, you might need to find you might need to find glossaries that older and later philosophers did about them, and you might need to, in this case, find different ways to approach the same problem, because it doesn't mean that you are spending your time unwisely in this case. It rather means that if you have the possibility of accepting the minimal occurrence of increasing or developing further what you already are trying to do in a more efficient way, you will, in a sense, end up being more, not free, but rather more direct with how you try and how you find yourself doing in the face of those yeah, in the face of those objectives or of those tasks that you are trying to achieve. And not because, as I have said before, not because they by themselves are impossible to get. It is rather that you somehow, yeah, it is rather that you somehow find uh, minimal similarities or so interesting ideas, and you extract them from other areas into what you are really trying to do, what you are really working on, what you are really putting your time into, because they at the end of the day benefit you more than if you simply continue working on whatever you are trying to achieve. I let me think of an already happened example. Okay, we will try to go with video game examples. At the end of the day, I know that those who hear me are not that also video games. In the case of video games, one of the most interesting examples is if if you were to see how nowadays League of Legends is played, you will find that there is always an existing difference between how it is now and how every team acts nowadays than how it was played on the first season of the game. Why? Because people found not only in League of Legends, because it existed even on the first season, but it was adapted from older games, the concept of having a jungler, of having people who went directly to the top lane, to the mid lane, and to the bot lane instead of changing and interchanging lines and being more consistent on specific roles. And all of this for the purpose of having not only shorter games, but more probabilities of succeeding on both sides. And in a sense, it also happens sometimes that, funnily enough, those already given structures can be swapped, so to speak. We are talking specifically about League of Legends. We have top, jungler, mid, and ADC or bot lane, to keep it shorter. But you can somehow sometimes find that if you swap your bot for your top, you might succeed more, or you might be able to do more than if you leave them be. You might find that your jungler might be more useful focusing on one side than to focusing on the other, so to speak. And this, why Potato decided to ramble specifically about one video game? Because this is the interesting idea. You can find in this particular case a lot of similarities, and it might be a far-fetched idea, yes, but it doesn't mean that it makes no sense at all. If you were to understand how swapping things and how changing different parts of the already given system, you might end up also seeing that, for example, I forgot the word in English. Give me a fucking second. Oh no. Football. It was fucking football. Yeah, it didn't need a translation. Football. If you were to see, for example, that, and you were to adapt the concept of League of Legends to football, you will find that you have always the possibility of, by swapping how you have your players reacting or acting in the field of action, so to speak, not battle, because football isn't a battle. If you have those people change how they're acting in the field of play, you end up seeing also that those tiny changes, even if they were not directly related one with the other, might end up sparking a lot more differences in different ways that you might have never have seen if you were, or yeah, if you never were to have tried and changed it from what you already was accepting as a given. And something very interesting can also be applied to the office itself, because sometimes when people is paired with one another, they create a mutual relationship, and they create a kind of synergy. Yes, but every synergy by itself tends to decay. Why? Because in a sense we are accustomed to do as enough as we can to satisfy the other side, and with as more time keeps going on, we also learn that the other side isn't as demanding as we really think they are, or isn't as rewarding as we want them to be. So in the case of that synergy, it ends up not lowering but rather adapting to be different, because it isn't that it became bad, it simply is that it became different. But if you accept that it will happen, and if you accept that it is like that, you have always the possibility of, in those cases, changing those already given and those already established teams of work, and those obviously this requires people to have the same base knowledge, even if they are not specifically on the same field, so to speak. You cannot place a janitor with a technician because they might not know the same things, but you can interchange players, so to speak, between the different teams, or the different fuck, I don't remember the other term, the other parties of janitors, technicians that you already have. Why? Because the constant change in those parts, and the constant knowledge and trying, not trying, the constant chaos in those singular events give those people always the incentive to work more. Why? Because they might never know with whom they will end up working. So if you act that way, you also show those who are under your power, so to speak, that you do not value so much, in a sense, with whom they are working, but rather how they are working and how much they are doing. So it also shows you sometimes who is really also needing to be fired, so to speak, and who really is giving you more than what you are paying him for. But in this case, I kind of drifted, because it also is a theory that tries to talk about the idea of if you do that, you might also find who is how is it more appropriate for the leadership position in every field. But it is not impossible, rather it is an idealistic idea, because at least on the United States, a place where this study was conveyed or was trialed, it showed that less than 20% of the bosses or the CEOs really paid any attention at all to this information. So yeah, the point, you should try to find correlations between anything, so that you can extrapolate from them, end up doing whatever you are doing more efficiently. That is the end idea. Even if at first hand it might not be, or it might not seem that useful, if you hear other tell you, when I learned about this completely unrelated topic when I was building my car, I out of nowhere became better. You might try to do that. As long as it is not fucking drugs, you might try to do that. So yeah, let me move on. Or well, before that, timestamp. Okay, sorry, my other hand got already kind of tired, so let me change my holding for a second. Fuck. Well, as always, do we have any kind of question? Do we have any kind of unrelated thing, or shall I continue? Yeah, I have talked about it in the sense that I got the money. No, sorry for lying. Somebody paid for it, and first and before anything else, I need to wait for Tron to send the money to the other Stripe. Send it to Stripe. I will, after that, need to wait for Stripe to process the payment, and after that is done, I will need to get Stripe to send that payment and to process that other completely different part of the process and send it to my bank account. And after that whole process of like 3 or 4 different things happening or already happened, I will be really able to have the money to buy a new microphone in my hand. And when that is done, I will start to, well, no, not start to work on that. I already feel the whole order, so I literally only need the money to click make order and nothing else. Yeah, the first part of the process started. I am still waiting for the money to be transferred from Throne to what the fuck it is to Stripe. Then I need to wait for the other part that was Stripe to process the other side of it and send it to my bank account. But I only need well, no, sorry. The first part is the one is that is going on right now. Drawn to Stripe. Then I don't know why, but they somehow process the money itself somehow, or for some reason. I guess because they need to extract some gainings from it, so they have it on their bank account for some days to generate some minimal amount of what is it, interest. That is maybe the real reason behind it, because it says that it might take between 1 or 2 days to move the money from to start processing the money and to start making the payment from Stripe itself. So yeah, that, and after that I need to wait another whole day probably for the transaction to be authorized by the fucking Argentinian bank that I have. But yeah, even if it is long, I know that I found an incredibly great deal on a mic, and yeah, I hope it sounds great. At least it will be better than what we have already here. And yeah, it isn't that bad. The only problem I think is that it might not happen on these next 2 days, because it needs to happen on working days, so we take a Saturday and Sunday off. So I as everybody does, bureaucracy fucks over the people that needs or wants things to happen a little bit more fast. But yeah, even if that is also true, it is incredibly great. As I said before, I didn't really want to boast that much about the throne, and even if that is true, it ended up happening somehow. So, as I have said before, I am really thankful for that. So yeah, nothing else to say but that I love every single one. Now, let me. Or well, any other question? Sorry, before moving on, any other question? If not, I shall continue. Um, Yeah, I am really fucking wanting my water. Oh wait, let me check the battery that I have on my phone. I never did that. Let me. Okay. Oh, I shall continue. Let me do that before. How much? What? Fuck. Okay, 66%. We're fine. It is still charging, so we're fine. This over here and this over here. Okay. Last topic for today. Incredible. Oh, oh yeah. Not clickbait at all. Title of the idea: How habits mean nothing. It is lovely to see that. Okay, the only problem that I think we might have is that I don't know if I will be able to make it a 10-minute or more talk. But anyways, now starting with the idea itself. As I said before, the title is How Habits Mean Nothing at All. Um, I found it to be kind of not true, but rather real in the sense that at the end of the day, as long as your habit isn't completely necessary for your life to keep going on, so to speak, the habit of eating and the habit of drinking water, or I don't know, it shouldn't even be considered an habit, but the habit of breathing, for example, or sometimes even no, even this one falls on the other category. Aside from those completely obligatory for your life, every other habit can be completely disregarded. And I do not mean it in the way that you should, but rather that every single person has to realize if they are not struggling with trying to complete or to achieve them, so to speak, successfully in their lives, at the very least, they should try to understand how important it is for everybody to notice how easily every single thing is droppable, so to speak. Because even if you say, no, if I were to not take a shower every single day, I would be stinky and I will need to really go to the bathroom and I will feel bad if I didn't do that because at the end of the day, I have to live with my own body. But my dear sibling in this world, are you really sure about that? Because the information and the data, so to speak, shows the complete opposite. A human doesn't even notice their own odors and bodily smells, so to speak, even if they are as strong as they could be, as long as they are. No. I am talking about the idea of you could really deep that out, and nothing really is holding you accountable of not doing that. The well, sorry, so. Uh, I put it into wrong words. Nothing is really necessary for you to do aside from, as I said before, eating, sleeping, and drinking water. Aside from those three basic necessities, or in a sense obligatory necessities, nothing else is obligatory. You, for example, if you what the fuck what the fuck was that? If you were, for example, to get wounded somehow and you were to, let's say, to get stabbed in your chest, it isn't a real necessity for you. And sorry, okay, I had done this. That was what happened. Sorry. Now, as I was saying, it is a habit that you form in your mind to take care of yourself in that sense. It is a habit that you create in your own person to really feel that you might need to take care of that wound and to you. Yeah, maybe that you might not need to go specifically to the doctor because you might be one of those very few people who knows how to treat a stab wound themselves or any kind of stuff like that. Even if that is the case, you create the habit of taking care of yourself. You create the habit of taking, in this case, not letting the wound infect or not letting your body or yourself die because you are bleeding to death, so to speak. And yeah, the point in this case is that there is a lot of people. If you, what the fuck did I say? There is a lot of people. In reality, it is very few who do not really understand how a habit works. And if you really do not take into consideration how those people work, so to speak, and how those people might not even have a basic concept of how the world itself is, in a sense, created out of habits, you might not need even be able to empathize with them. And in this case, I am not talking about children, because children are, in a sense, the exception to this rule, because most of the time children need to really be told what is and what is not important. So yeah, we're not talking about children here. We are really talking about those legally adults who, even by or even if they are considered adults, do not understand what a habit is and how important it is to have them. That is one side of the coin, and on the other, there is also the dark truth, so to speak, of knowing that in reality, if you desire it, as long as you keep or as long as you get those three most basic needs rather than habits, you will be completely fine. You do not need to socialize, you do not need to, yeah, in this case, as Bunkum said, you do not need to take a shower, you do not need to take care of yourself, you do not need to do anything else. As long as you eat, drink water, and sleep, you are going to keep existing. So, starting from there, we could say, how is it that you're going to, in this case, confront life? Because it might be, or it might seem weird to talk about it in a sense that, yeah, you might not really feel like only those three are the most important parts of your life, but in the most animal sense, as long as you have those three needs fulfilled, everything else could be teached. And I don't know, Bukum, you said what you said, you know what you said. I won't go against your word. If you do not want to take a shower, it is in your hand. I do not have any problem with that. Do not approach me. Elimao. Sometimes the shitposting is stronger than myself. As I was saying, sorry. Yes, yes. As I was saying, sorry. If, in a sense, it is, so to speak, something weird to understand because you start in a, yeah, somehow seeing what you really want and what you really could drop, so to speak. You don't really need, trying to put it in a positive way, you might not really need to socialize with those who you already know do harm to your person. You might not really need to go towards those paths who harm your mental well-being because they are, so to speak, dangerous, or because whatever you are trying to do is by itself a risk. Not that you might fail doing it, but rather that whatever you are doing by itself carries some risk. And I am not specifically referring to letting go of whatever you're trying to do, rather of you might find different ways, as we have done before, you might find different ways to achieve the same goal. So yeah, basically that it we can kind of understanding how, aside from the three basic necessities of the human body, anything else could be changed in a person's life, and they could still be kept alive, aside from obviously those who are sick, those who are bedridden, those who have any kind of physical, mental, or visual impairment. Well, yeah, visual enters in the physical impairment type. So yeah, but aside from those specific types of people, everyone else could literally throw any other part of their life and even still rebuild, so to speak, and change how they go about what they are trying to do, how they could try to approach things in a different manner, how they could even okay, might be something risky to hear, but you might even drop your dreams, and no matter what you do, aside from keeping your three basic responsibilities, life will keep going, in a sense. So you always have the possibility of changing your habits. The only problem is how willing you are to do that. Aside from your three necessities, nothing else matters. Well, not to end it on such a complex note, we could also say this. Even in those three basic kind of needs, you can find different ways to approach it, because, as we have told before, a normal diet isn't really such a healthy diet that by itself you will live a longer life, so to speak. You might try to change what you're eating, what you're consuming, what you're drinking, what you're putting into your body, what you're allowing to affect your body, how you're accepting the food that you're eating, and all of those arrays of things. If you find that you have the possibility of changing that, and therefore you have the possibility of changing how incredibly good you fulfill a bodily necessity, you might also find that your life, in this case, also to add it, how much interest you have and how tired you go to bed, how well you rest, how much time you rest, instead of simply, oh yeah, you know what, I have to rest, so I will go to bed 2 hours. I will wake up completely destroyed tomorrow, but at least I sleep 2 hours, I am so happy. No, you need to really understand those necessities. And if you have the possibility of increasing how good you do them, you might also find completely different, in a sense, or completely unrelated things also changing in your life, because you started making things better, so to speak. Well, I don't think I have anything else to say in that regard, so yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think I have anything else to say, at least for today, so sorry for that. No, yeah, nothing else to report so far. As we have told before, I shall keep an eye out on the order of the throne and all of that, but nothing else really. So yeah, we might as well try to raid somebody at the very least. Meanwhile, as always, thanks everybody who came, thanks to those who stayed, thanks to the lurkers, thanks to every single one of you. Yeah, also thanks dear world watchers, thanks those who were not able to stay but decided to end up or to finish the stream. Incredible people. That people I almost never feel gratitude towards, but in reality, you know what? They are incredible, man. They are so great. Ria has 31 people, Dumba has 31. Okay, there is a lot of people to raid, my brother. Wait, we will do the simplest one. We will do lobotomy. We will call it a day today. So here and well, as always, thanks. Thank you, Wonku. Have a great night. Nothing else to say so far. 3, 2, 1. Oh no, wait, copy. And now, raid. Did I hit right? Oh, yeah.